Good morning, guys. Welcome to the podcast. And I've got a very special guest for you today, Pramoda. He is a Silicon Valley executive entrepreneur coming from Meta and Oracle, and he has done amazing things. He's become a coach, he's written books, and he's helping people overcome challenges, resiliencies, and he's really going to talk about his experience and how people can apply this in his life. And really happy to have him on the show. So, Pramoda, welcome.
Thank you, Chris. I'm so excited to be here on the show.
Yeah. So, briefly discuss your journey from the Bay Area, Meta Oracle, to what you're doing now. And I'm really excited to dive into the fireside.
Yes, computer science engineer by profession. I did a master's in computer science. My first job was Oracle back in India. I was in India for about 13 years as an engineer and then as a manager. I moved to the Bay Area in 2003 and I was at Oracle for a really long time, about 20 years, from an engineer all the way to a director of engineering at Oracle. I left Oracle. I went to Meta for a short while as a data engineering leader. After that, in the last 18 months, I am on my own running a business called Chainsmith Coaching, where I focus on leadership development, communication for engineers and managers. I recently published a book called Beyond Your Limits, which talks about setting goals to achieve meaning and happiness in life.
Really fascinating. And so we'll dive right into it. And so one thing, because our audience or the audience is really very driven, high achieving. We've got doctor, lawyer, dentist, engineers. So what's interesting is some of them they hit a breaking point. It's like they can only work so many hours and exhaustion. So you have this idea, what got you here won't get you there. Expand upon that.
This is specifically true for all backgrounds, but specifically where I started this is from a book called What Got You Here, What Get You There by my mentor and idol, Dr. Marshall Goldsmith. The idea is we all are at a level in our life and career because of what we have done in the past. So we are here because we did something and we achieved a certain milestone. To go there higher in life or career in music, we have to think differently and act differently. That is the core message of what got you here won't get you there. To go there, you need to change your thinking and behavior. That is the message.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because I look at my journey, just overall, like my career journey, and it's like the skills I learned in high school, I had to develop new skills in college, new skills in med school, and residency was a different beast. And just being an entrepreneur. The other question I have for you is you talk about connect the dots forward through intentional goals. What is the significance of that meaning?
If you look at all of our lives, Chris, we can look at our past and say, in the last 10 years, I've done these things. You can then derive meaning through connecting the dots. You can say, I did these things in the last 10 years. I've come to this level. I achieved these things. That is connecting the dots backward. But you can also connect the dots forward. What I mean to say is you can say in the next 10 years, I want to achieve these 5 goals or these 10 goals. They can be health goals, fitness goals, family goals, relationship, business goals, financial goals, and so on. You can set them ahead of time and say, in the next 10 years, I want to focus on this. And then you can connect the dots forward every day intentionally. You're going toward your future.
It's really fascinating because I talk to a lot of engineers and a lot of them, they talk about reverse engineering success and they talk about like where they want to be and then they connect the dots backwards. And it's so interesting how you talk about connecting the dots forwards. I once in my previous life, I trained with Olympic athletes and they were talking about like the Olympic committee, they would have these athletes go and learn about goal setting, like in specific workshops, and describe how goal setting has transformed your life and how others can adopt this approach.
Yeah. If you personally ask me, goal setting has given hope, happiness, and meaning in my life. My exposure to goal setting was in a unique way. I lost my father and grandfather within 2 years in the year 2002 and 2003, in those 2 years. I was not happy. I was feeling meaningless in my life. I encountered a person named John Goddard, who is an American adventurer, and is at his age 14, he listed about 127 goals. You can read about him on the internet. And he achieved most of his goals by the time he died. So during that time in 2003, where I was going through these existential crises, I asked a question: what if I can model after John Goddard and write my own goals in life? I wrote simple goals such as losing weight. I was about 50 pounds overweight back then. I wrote that as a goal. I was scared of public speaking. I wrote that as my goal. I wanted to donate blood a few times. I wrote a goal to donate blood 50 times so far. I've done all the goals. So each idea became a goal in my life, and my existence was okay. I've got these 5 goals in the next 5 years. How do I achieve them in my life? In the book, I talk about 52 goals I've achieved since 2003, starting with losing 50 pounds. And the last goal in the book is writing a nonfiction book.
Wow. Fascinating. And so diving deeper into goal setting, like for example, some people, their goal is just make it through the day or just wake up, just get out of bed and make it through the day. And then some have bigger goals like you. How do you like, for example, what's the difference between goal setting as a checkbox? Because I know people that, some of my colleagues, they set goals and it's more just like a check ticker. And then whereas others, they have other more meaningful goals. So how do you distinguish or avoid this kind of checkbox type of setting?
Like the question, the distinction which is really critical is intrinsic versus extrinsic goals. When I say intrinsic goals, they are driven by your personal values, your vision, your interests, and what you enjoy doing in life.
Yeah.
And intrinsic goals typically tend to help other people as well. Those are intrinsic goals. Extrinsic goals are mostly toward the external rewards, like making more money, finance, owning things, becoming famous, and so on. Those are extrinsic goals. People who have more intrinsic goals, like personal development, growing, their own health, relationship, and so on, that is the password to happiness and meaning.
Love that. Intrinsic versus extrinsic and base. And yeah, because we all know, like, especially in America, it's like we're we're extrinsically motivated, but if we can dive deeper, a follow-up question around goal setting is a lot of people like the first of the year coming up soon, and they set these goals, ambitious goals, and then 2 weeks into it, it's gone. So what's going on there, and how do you stay on course, and how do you stay on track, even with setbacks?
Yeah. 2 thoughts come to my mind. One is we all overestimate what we can achieve in 1 year, and we severely underestimate what we can achieve in 5 years. This is a common challenge for us as human beings. We want to do too many things and too much in the next 12 months, but we forget the fact that there is a lot we can achieve in next 5 years. So the number one tip for goal setting is look at a long view, not in 3 months, not in 6 months, but take a longer view in maybe 3 years or 5 years or 10 years if you can. Take a longer view because you will stay motivated for long-term goals. The second one is we all have this incorrect judgment. For example, if somebody starts going to the gym, they have this random goal. I want to lose 20 pounds in a month or 30 pounds in 3 months. If you ask them what made you pick this number, they have no clue. So this is incorrect judgment. Like I have to be at this level by this day. Nobody's telling you. You are being influenced by something around you, maybe social media or internet or a friend did that. So all these personal judgment about goals, this has to happen by this date. Otherwise, I am a failure is the reason for people not achieving their goals and not sustaining in their goal achievement process.
It's very profound because there's the different, I think it was Atomic Habits where he was talking about you're doing it for just like the health benefits. You're not really doing it for the extrinsic, like we talked about extrinsic versus you're doing it to establish these good habits. Fascinating. Moving on, a lot of people listening to this, they, again, the high achievers and a lot of their kids, they want their kids to be successful as well. And one of those is in the tech area. And so you help clients succeed in getting interviews after 2 decades at Oracle. And what advice do you have for just people that want their kids or themselves are aiming for these big companies to work for?
Do you want my advice for kids or for parents?
For anybody that wants to work in for a big company like Oracle or like Goldman Sachs, these very big, prestigious companies.
Number one is relevant experience is important. Your experience, if you have some in that background, or if you're a fresher out of college and finding a job, then the advice is different. But my general advice is you need to have love for what you're doing. Let's say you're joining design group or data science group or data engineering or software engineering or product management group. You need to be not only passionate, but really skilled in that area. You need to enjoy doing. Otherwise, you will not enjoy these big jobs because they have a lot of different expectations. The work schedule is a little different. You can sustain only if you are not only passion, but interest and skill in that area. So to sum up again, my advice is find out what you really love about that particular role. If you love it and you really do well, I don't think it's a challenge to get jobs in big tech. You can get. I think it's more of the challenge on the skill, in the sense that if you are so good that they cannot ignore you, job is not a challenge. So find an area of your passion where your skill already exists, you have some strength and you enjoy doing. It's a Venn diagram of what do you enjoy doing, where do you feel really good in that skill area, and where companies are willing to pay you money. So joy, flow, and money, if you look at those three intersections, you can find a job within the tech world.
Yeah. I think a great book that you're referencing was the book Ikigai, which discusses that diagram. A follow-up question is that because you live in the Bay Area, one of the home of some of the most valuable companies, a huge startup ecosystem, and a lot of talented people, as opposed to aiming to work for like Meta or Microsoft or these types, they actually go and start their own companies. So what are your thoughts on just very talented people starting their own companies versus working for big tech or famous corporation?
I don't know if you know, there is a book that Daniel Pink wrote called Drive. What is the motivation behind people? What motivates people is the book's message. There are three components to motivation, like what drives human beings: autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Autonomy, mastery, and purpose. People who are really extremely talented, smart, whether they are in technology world, whether they're engineers who code software or product managers, they have all these three elements. They're looking for a combination of these three. Can I be autonomous, make my own decisions, be independent? Can I develop mastery in something, really good in some skill? And the third one is purpose. Can I make a meaningful impact on this planet to other people? Now, people are always searching for a combination of these three things. Some people find this in a job, in a big tech, maybe Google, Meta, Amazon, Apple, and so on. Yeah. And after some time, they realize there is bigger things they can achieve in life because their intrinsic value, their purpose is not being met here in this company. They go out to increase the impact, add more value to this world by adding more value to their product or through a service, through a mobile app, and so on. They find a challenge in the world and they go solve that challenge for people. Yeah. That's how they are adding value to their purpose.
Yeah, fascinating. And you've actually done, because you started out working for Oracle and then you actually transitioned to becoming an entrepreneur, which we'll discuss. And your response reminds me of Elon Musk, because when he was before he founded or started PayPal with the PayPal moth, like Peter Thiel and them, he was actually trying to get a job at, I can't remember if it was like Sun Microsystems or whatever. And they blew him off. And so he was like, yeah, I'm going to go and start my own company, and you see the incredible work that he's doing now. So transitioning is, I love this idea because you have a chapter in your book called Saying No to TV. And I really love this. I haven't watched TV in 20 something years. So tell us more about that.
Lars, I mean, that's something common. I stopped watching television in the year 2003, 21 years ago. When I lived in India as a bachelor, I did not have a television at home. When we got married, I convinced my wife to try this lifestyle for 90 days without a television. I write that in the book. There's a fascinating story about how we started that journey. She liked it as well without a television at home. So when we lived in India until 2015, we never owned a television. We have a 7th-grader son who is 13 right now. He watches Netflix once in a while and other shows on weekends, but we still don't have a television or anything else. We have a laptop, maybe a screen. The idea is I have more control over my time. I can invest wherever I want. I don't want the TV to control my time and my interest. The best way to develop self-control is not having the temptation in the house. That's my philosophy. So we decided to take out the television. Around 21 years now, I have not watched television. And my life has become much better by not following other people's life stories, treating them as heroes, because I believe I am the hero in my life. My son is the hero, and my wife is the hero as well. We all have our own hero's journey. We are going through our own struggles in life and coming as heroes, overcoming obstacles and achieving personal goals. And I'm very happy about it. I don't need a television to watch other people's stories and admire their stories.
Yeah, really. It's very intentional. And what I love about that is because there's a story about a family growing up in an impoverished neighborhood, and the mom was a single mother, and the father had left, and she saw her kids watching TV. And then instead of having that, I don't even know how much the average hours, but instead of using that time to watch TV, you could actually use it to read books or listen to podcasts or listen to audiobooks and just enrich, like, very intentional, goal-directed, focused behavior to better yourself. Um, the other question I have for you is because coaching, and you've actually emphasized a lot on coaching. So, how has coaching helped you, and what do you want the listeners to take away from yours particular coaching strategies, methodology, and practice?
I'll start the second question first. My coaching methodology is, it's a simple equation. Performance is equal to potential minus interference. I believe as a human being, everyone has 100% potential. They can achieve great things in life. What is the challenge is the interference. So if your potential is 100 and the interference is 25, your performance is only 75. My job as a coach is to work with people to figure out what is interfering them in their performance in life and leadership at work, and decrease that interference as a coach. That is my philosophy as a coach. I truly believe that human beings have amazing potential. And my job is to see what is interfering them and reduce that. Going to the first question, how coaching has helped me. I was an engineer. I was struggling to communicate at some point in my career. In public speaking was a big challenge for me. I worked with coaches to improve that, improve my own speaking skills and becoming a leader.
Yeah.
So the transition from an engineer to a manager and then to director of an organization, their journey was almost impossible without a coach's help. Then the second journey from being an employee in an organization to an entrepreneur, running his own business, creating online courses and digital courses, publishing a book, which is doing really well on Amazon these days. It was number 6 2 weeks ago in terms of book sales. I have no marketing done. It's all self-published book and word of mouth marketing. This transition from employee to entrepreneur is also because of people who coached me. Dr. Eric Mazel is my coach, who is a creativity coach in the US. I also work with another coach called Scott Allen, who is in Japan, who helped me set up the book marketing. He helped me promote the book. The book was written already. His help was to promote the book, market the book, build a business around the book, including a 7-week course based on the book. So in my life, whether it is from an engineer to an engineering leader, from an employee to an entrepreneur, all these massive jumps in my life has happened because of coach's help.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And again, your story reminds me of, because I had a colleague in college. He went on to found the big Silicon Valley tech company, Coinbase, and he actually, he was struck because he was introverted and engineer, but then when he became CEO, he needed that extra executive coaching to help him to lead the organization. So even Michael Jordan or Tiger Woods, all these, they're the best, and they still have coaches. So,
This comes up in many discussions, Chris. People ask me, why do I need a coach? All these smart people in technology world, whether they are individual contributors or managers or leaders in the organization. My answer always is, all great athletes have coaches. You are no different. You are a corporate athlete. You are an athlete in the world of corporate. You need a coach as well. Everybody needs a coach. That is why wherever I go into any podcast, I talk about my own coach, because it is not shameful to hire a coach. You have no challenge to work with a coach. Everybody needs a coach to become better, perform well, and be fulfilled. So the more people normalize it and say, it's okay to work with a coach, you have no problem. It's fine. Yeah. That's the mentality I want people to have, that you are an athlete in the arena of life, and you need a coach as well to exceed your own performance in life.
How can people find out more about you and check out your book and reach out to you and learn from you?
The best way is you can follow me on LinkedIn. If you use social media, I create 5 pieces of content every week, something useful on leadership, communication, goal setting, and life. You can follow me on LinkedIn. Secondly, you can find my book on Amazon. It is available in all formats, digital, print, and audiobook. You can also find my audiobook on Spotify. That's available too. The third one is you can go to my website, chainsmith.me. Chainsmith is a single word. .me is the domain extension. Go to chainsmith.me to learn more about what I do, my digital courses and other things I have on my website.
I really enjoyed this conversation. And for the audience, be sure to check out Pramoda's resources and give his socials a like and follow. And thanks again for a very inspirational podcast.
Thank you, Chris. I really enjoyed the conversation. I hope it was valuable to your audience.